Hello, everybody. If you're watching this, you've seen my name. My name is Agent Retro. And I've got a friend of mine I have had in Apex Legends for a while, and we are here chilling in the firing range. And he asked me a couple weeks ago if I would be interested in interviewing him, so to speak. Because he has a very interesting and very intense story he wants to tell us, and I am excited. I was more than happy to interview one of my best friends. And this is him over here. His name is The Bangalorian.
What's up? Hello. Thank you for having me on the show today.
So, he goes
Woo.
by the name of Q, and that cuts down
You.
the syllables from saying
The
The
many
Bangalorian.
syllables.
but,
Yes.
yeah, so I guess we'll start this out. Maybe tell us how you got into online multiplayer games.
Oh boy. Well, oh my God, I love that question. That's a great way to start it. Honestly, it all kind of started with Street Fighter 5. I know that sounds crazy, but that's where it all started. I never really played a whole lot of online multiplayer in any sort of capacity until that game came out because I was very shy. I didn't really, not necessarily didn't want to get involved in online play just because I was very old school in the terms of like how I played. I had friends come over to my place and then we would hook up the GameCube or the Xbox or the PlayStation, that whoever had whatever, and we would just play on the couch.
Hmm.
So to me, moving on into online play was kind of a no-no at first. But then, life kind of, we all get older, we all get lives, we all get jobs, and then so online multiplayer was only the only way we could really communicate online was just to do that. And one of the things we were able to communicate through very early on was Street Fighter 5, and like Tekken and well, Tekken 7 to be specific, and that's kind of how it started. And eventually, that would bleed into like say Call of Duty, Battlefield, and other games like that, where more of a competitive scene came into play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so what was the first game you started playing in competitive online multiplayer?
I want to say that was Call of Duty. Which one was that one? It was on the PS4. I want to say it was World War I think is what it was called. It's been a little while, but I'm pretty sure that's how it started. Um, I want to say that I started off kind of rough because again I wasn't used to the whole online multiplayer.
Hmm.
So there's like the whole thing of your connection being good and being or either being really bad, and there's
Yeah.
lag that you kind of have to compensate for when you play. So it took some time to really get used to it, but eventually as time went on, I sort of kind of got used to it, got used to the lag, because at the time my internet was kind of bad.
Mhm.
So, you kind of had to, at the time, kind of just kind of adjust to it and, kind of compensate for it. Eventually, we did get better internet as time went on, so it wasn't as bad as it was when I first started out. And that's when I realized, like, with better internet, I can actually have better reaction time and whatever in terms of, like, inputting the commands and whatnot.
Mhm.
So, competitively speaking, I think yeah, Call of Duty World War I think is what it was probably the first time I ever really engaged in any sort of competitive play. Um, Next would have been Battlefield, but as I got into Battlefield, I met some people, and then we eventually became this sort of like a small sort. It started out small. It was kind of like maybe 10 people on this team, and we ended up gravitating more towards Battlefield 1, more so than the Call of Duty.
Mhm.
But there's no issue with that. We ended up kind of bouncing back and forth between the two, and that was really the first place where it really started.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, how would you explain what being on the battlefield team was like?
A well-oiled machine. Yeah, that is probably the best way I can describe that team. The Battlefield team, like I said, it started off like me. I want to say maybe like 8 or 10 people to start. That that time is kind of fuzzy for me because it was a really long time ago.
Hmm.
And we had I won't use their actual names, but team leaders were Tony and Bruce. Yeah, so Bruce was very understanding and very much the supporting, like the voice in your ear that's like, hey, don't worry about it, we'll get him next time, yada yada type of thing.
Hmm.
Very. If I had to compare him to what he might have sounded like, if you've ever played Call of Duty, like say like Black Ops, I think is where the character's from. He sounded a lot like the character called Frank Woods. Very similar voice, kind
Mm.
of uncanny. It was kind of funny every now and then that we kind of poke fun at him
Played by the
for it.
great Ed Harris, if I'm not mistaken.
Ed Harris, you might actually be right about that. I think you might be right. Definitely a great time with Bruce there. No ill will, love him to bits. He communicated with me a couple months back, about 3 or 4 months back. So before the whole thing, the whole COVID thing came out.
Hmm.
But it was very nice to speak to him again. If he watches this, God bless you, man. No hard feelings. um, Tony was there as well, and oh,
It's okay.
Justin.
I'll jump back in.
Oh, you.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay, cool, cool.
disconnected because
I don't know.
I wasn't
You
moving.
just timed
So
out.
yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, what was I saying there? Shoot. What was I saying? Should I jump back into the lobby?
No, I'm just gonna jump back into the firing range either way. Whether you're there or not, it'll be all right.
Okay, copy that. Should I continue?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
okay,
yeah.
yeah.
We'll just keep
So,
going.
sorry. All right. So, what ended up happening was Tony and Bruce kind of had their different personalities, right? So, Bruce being the more calm and more relaxed one, he was very forgiving. He was just like, hey, whatever, it's all good, no problem,
Hmm.
uh, kind of thing. And Tony was a bit more of a hard ass. Not like he was a jerk or anything. It's just that maybe the way he said things wasn't always the best.
Yeah.
Maybe he could have been a bit more sensitive to the fact, whatever. Again, if you see this, no hard feelings, no big deal. It just kind of is the way it is, sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's just kind of how that works. The other members of the team, the ones that kind of started it out, didn't always last very long. They didn't stick around or anything like that. Like when you put your clan together, it kind of just it's a hit and miss as to who stays and who doesn't stay.
Yeah.
If it works for the people, it doesn't work for the people. It is what it is. Personalities clash. Creative differences for what you want to see on the team.
Hmm.
So that is very much something that did kind of happen. But as the time went on and that game's lifespan continued, and I was there, we did have a very large team. It ended up being somewhere between, let's say, maybe 20 to 30 people at the very least. Maybe a little bit more than that, but I didn't stay very long after that fact because it got kind of into a bit of a chaotic mess.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get to that eventually, but it did get kind of hairy, and it wasn't for me anymore, and eventually I had to take my leave. But
Yeah.
when I say well-oiled machine, by the time, let's say a year before I left, we were very, very organized. We stuck around, and goddamn, I was a part of a sniper team for a very long time. It was like me and I believe it was like three other guys, including my one rival, love her to bits. Hope to see you again soon. Um, God, man, we could take any ridge, man, and we would own that thing for real. Like, man, it was so fun. Oh my God, no, like I love those guys for everything that they done. Oh my God, we were so good, man. Like we were super communicative. Like we just like, if orders came down, we did what we had to do, take the ridge, hold it down, provide covering for the guys below. If we had to switch over to another team and swap somebody out, it just like clockwork. There was no room for argument. We were just like, hey, we got to do what we got to do, and we just got to get out there, and that's just the way it was.
Hmm.
We didn't mess around, man. Like we just, God, wow, man. Like when Bruce or Tony said something, we were just like, hey, man, let's just go, let's do it. They obviously see something that we don't, and once we get there, we're probably gonna see it, kind of thing.
Hmm.
And that's usually how it went. Like we would take the order, We would say take the ridge for example, and we would look down. And it's like, oh, okay, so we have to protect the people on point A, and so we had to provide covering fire for the people that was coming in from point B towards point A. Kind of lay them out as we best we could, push them back if we had to. Oh god, so fun, so much fun, honestly.
So what would you say having your own squad was like?
Ah, difficult. Very difficult. I know you and I have like previously talked about this, but I think this is the first time it's ever going to actually get put on record. I very much had a very very difficult time with it because even though they both said, "Hey, these four guys, these four guys are part of your squad. You're gonna tell them what you're supposed to do with them, and you're gonna lead them into wherever situation we need to get to, and blah blah blah. This is your squad. This is your squad. This is your squad." And I was incredibly blessed to be with the people that I was with because they very much understood what they were supposed to do. When they said, "Hey, you're going to be team sniper team today, or next round you're going to be anti-vehicle, or say we need one of you guys to be a pilot, pick somebody, go do it, be the driver to get to, let's say, point B or whatever." These guys followed. They just followed it. They didn't question it. They were good, man. Like I swear to God, like if these guys ever came back, and I say if I say they communicated with me at some point, in the near future, and they said, "Hey, what's Apex like?" I'd be like, "Dude, get on it now," because like these guys were amazing. Like it's not like we were all stat chasers at the time. No, it was just
Mhm.
like we knew how well organized each of us were, like individually, right?
Mhm.
And we just kind of understood each other's strengths and weaknesses to the point where we were just like, yeah, we would drop in to the match. There would be some, there was the occasional hazing of like, ah, god damn it, why'd you go over there? Like,
Mhm.
what are you doing, man? Like, come back over here, let's go. Like, come on, smarten up, like put your boots on and let's run. And there would always be that sort of like haha kind of thing where it was just like, ah, god damn it, you're an idiot for throwing that grenade. And it's like, it was nice. Like there was this level of trust and communication, but we were very very much like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is how it has to be done. Focused up, kind of thing, and get in there and go do the job.
Mhm.
So it was nice when it started. All right, it was nice when it started, but uh, as it continued, it got a little complicated and, like I said earlier, difficult.
Mhm.
Because at some point or another, that sort of how do you say it? Leadership, the leadership role sort of got stripped away from me. Uh, how do I put it lightly? uh, okay, so for example, we would drop into the map. Uh, wherever whatever the map was, it doesn't really matter. We would drop into the map, and then I would say, okay, we got to go take this ridge over here, or this hilltop, or we got to take this tank and drive it up to whatever, or get into this jeep or whatever. But before we could even get to point B, from our starting line to point B, I would have, like, say, Tony, for example, kind of barking at me. He's like, hey, we don't need you there. We need you over here. And that's where you're going to go. So I'm like, all right, my bad, my mistake. So we go in there, and before I can relay the next set of orders that I think we should go through, Bruce is in my ear and is like, hey, what do you guys? We actually need you to go do this where you're at right now. Can you do that, please, instead? You know, Bruce always said please. Bruce always said please. I can always be appreciative of that, but Tony, not so much. When Tony said something, you were supposed to do it, and if he said jump, you said how high. So,
Yeah.
you know, that's kind of just how that was at that time. But hey, no, like I said, no hard feelings to either one of them. I love them both. Uh, we'll get to that part later. But definitely, it was very difficult because once that leadership got taken away from me, I no longer felt like I was the squad leader or that it was, in fact, this is your squad. Like I never felt like that anymore, and that became a bit of an issue for me because I didn't, where was that line? Where was the line where, hey, I'm in control of this and this is what we're going to do to help out the rest of the team, and, when did I cross it and suddenly become their lapdog? for the lack
Mhm.
of a better word. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was fun when it started, but it definitely did get rather difficult.
Yeah.
Um, and again, no hard feelings. It just kind of happened that way.
Mhm.
It is what it is. Sometimes it just happens. Like I said before, creative differences.
Yeah.
It'll happen. But having one team leader might have been able to kind of like hand off that level of communication, and then and that sense of leadership, so to speak.
Mhm.
But then at the same time, it's like if there's two, it kind of makes it difficult because there's two different perspectives and two different viewpoints.
Yeah.
So it's like yeah, to be completely honest with you, I knew exactly when it went wrong,
Yeah.
and it's just like I said, it just kind of happened out that way, which is unfortunate. But hey, you know, that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
obviously you're not as hardcore into the Battlefield scene as you used to be.
Oh no, not
Was
anymore.
your How was that? How was that process? I mean, just from what you told me, it seems like it was a pretty quick one because like you just said, you
Yeah.
know when it went south. Was
Yeah.
that departure from that whole team, that entire clan, so to speak, was that difficult for you?
Oh man. Yeah, buddy. That was kind of rough. I'm not gonna lie. Uh, there was definitely some arguments, definitely some finger pointing, and I've been saying this the whole time. There's no hard feelings, genuinely. I love each and every one of these guys. Because they've definitely had a very powerful impact in where I'm currently at.
Hmm.
And I genuinely still find myself being like, hey, what would these guys do in this sort of situation? What would Bruce be telling me at this exact moment?
Hmm.
Um, you know, that sort of mentality still sticks with me, and it's that's just the way it is, man. Like I love them so much, so when I left, it was definitely painful.
Yeah.
I did mention that on my squad at the time, I had a rival. Well, rather, just being on that team, I had a rival. Um, she was very influential
Hmm.
in terms of my decision in terms of me taking my leave. For the sake of the story, we'll call her Tracy.
Okay.
Tracy was the best sniper we had on that team, and that's anywhere from 20 to 30 people, including myself and Tony and Bruce. Um, uh, God, what a superpower she was, honestly. She ran semi-automatic snipers, usually, and she was like the first person to be like up in my face and be like, "You run a bolt action rifle? What's the matter with you? Semis all the way." And I was like, "Excuse me? Who are you? Like, what the hell?" And like, I was just like, do you come on, shut up. What do you know? And like I think I mentioned this once before off the record, but it's here for the record now, where my only regret uh, after having left that team was the fact that she had more kills than me when I left. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was nearing triple digits, and I was nowhere near triple. I was still in my doubles. She was fucking awesome, dude. Did I keep a tally sheet? Yes, I did.
Yes, it did.
It was just one of those situations where like uh, it's it was very much like Tom Hiddleston and Chris Hemsworth, where they say they bring out the best in each other. That's exactly what that was.
Nice.
When I was having a rough day and she wasn't there, I was at my worst sometimes, and then when she logged in and we joined in, and she definitely brought out that sensation of being like, yes, eat it, and then bah, like oh god, stealing a kill from her was like the greatest shit ever. I'm not gonna lie to you. And I would assume that goes both ways. Um, and when I left, she was like one of the last few people that I actually spoke to, aside from like Bruce and Tony, who again, it was a very heated argument, and it's like, what the hell, man, like, and granted, you can tell who was pointing fingers and who wasn't, and who was supportive of it and who wasn't,
Yeah.
just by the tone of voice. And when I left, Bruce kind of put me into a separate server, separate party or whatever. And he's like, I know you're leaving. I understand. Uh, Shit hit the fan, and I'm leaving as well. And I was like, what the fuck? You're leaving too? And he's like, yeah, man, I can't be here anymore, and it's starting to get difficult. And his departure from that team is kind of the reason why I'm not using their names.
Hmm.
Is because like he actually has his own thing going on at the moment. I don't particularly follow him very often, but when I do, it's kind of nice to be like, ah, that's what he's doing now. So it's cool. It's very much
Nice.
an interesting experience. Tony is doing his own thing. From my understanding, he still has quite a few people left over that
Hmm.
kind of carried over with him. Others have kind of just departed on their own terms. Tracy is no longer gaming, as far as I'm aware. Last time I spoke to her, she actually became someone important in the world and is actually doing quite a bit for the world at the moment, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
She's doing well. I miss her. You know, God bless. And if you're watching this, come back. Come back if you can. Let me steal some more kills from you. But it was a very heavy departure. I don't know if I would. It was not an easy one. It was not an easy choice to make whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it kind of it was hard to say goodbye to some of the people there. But I love all of them, man. I seriously do.
Yeah. And just for context, how long were you with your Battlefield squad?
Okay, so this Battlefield team, like I said, we dabbled in Call of Duty and Battlefield.
Hmm.
So I want to say that was about uh, a year and a half to about 2 years, roughly.
Oh.
That's a give or take.
Yeah.
That's a very rough give or take. Yeah,
And how long was
roughly.
your like? Did you have a point where you guys got into a groove with Battlefield, and that's just what you guys did, or did it just go back and forth all the time?
It was very much back and forth for quite a long time, but during the tail end of my time with them, it was very much just Battlefield.
Gotcha.
I kind of told myself I gotta narrow it down. I can't keep because they're both
Yeah.
very different games,
Yes.
mind you. So like it's kind of hectic to kind of go between those two mindsets,
Oh yeah.
knowing the limitations of each game.
Hmm.
Like one game you can shoot a straight line and you'll get that shot. The other one, not so much. You actually have to know the geometry of it for bullet drop. So
Yeah.
it was very difficult for me to keep going like that. And towards the tail end of my time there, I kind of just like was like, yeah, maybe just Battlefield.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that. I said.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it wasn't very long, mind you. Like it feels like a long time to me because of all the experiences that came with it. But when I actually departed, it was very much like it it was like maybe I was only with them with the whole Battlefield thing, just Battlefield, mind you, for maybe about 2 months, maybe 2 months.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
good times though.
Was there anything else you wanted to share about your time with Battlefield?
uh, I miss it sometimes, honestly. Not so much the whole clan-based thing, mind you,
Hmm.
but just kind of the that sense of professionalism. I guess, if I
Hmm.
had to pick a word for it. There was very much a time where, I guess you could say, where we kind of really leaned heavy towards the terminology, and we kind of knew what we were all capable of doing in terms of what we specialized in, right? Like, so this guy's team sniper, this guy is the pilot, this guy's the driver, this guy is going to be assault or medic or whatever,
Yeah.
and we very much kind of relied on that. It's like, hey, this is what you want to do today, that's what you're doing. Or depending what Tony or Bruce wanted, you kind of had to switch it up every now and then because someone couldn't make it or whatever.
Yeah.
So that sense of like organization, I do miss that
Hmm.
because sometimes it can be incredibly hectic, and sometimes it's like it's whatever, throw it out the window and see what happens.
Yeah.
I do miss that. I will not lie. I miss that. It's a good time when you understand what every person is capable of on that time and on your team and in like a moment of battle
Hmm.
in terms of a gameplay. I do miss that, and I miss each and every one of them because again, they all had a big special place uh, in terms of where I'm currently at.
Hmm.
And like I said, that mindset never goes away. It's like, I mean, you've been there firsthand. You've seen me in that mindset.
Oh yeah.
It's sort of like boots on the ground, do your job, and let's get it done, kind of thing. You've been there for that, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And when everyone was kind of like that, It felt good just because we were all kind of on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
And
Whoa.
there's oh, that's crazy.
Sorry, I just randomly hit like an invisible jump pad.
I yeah, I saw that. I was hoping to activate it myself, but yeah, that's kind of what I miss, and I don't think I'll ever go back to the clan-based thing, but realistically, I think that's like the only time of that only kind of team that you can be on where you can get that sort of organization.
Yeah.
But yeah, but other than that, I think I had a good time with it. I do miss it on occasion. Will I go back to it? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Unless you're paying me and giving me dental, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm good. At least for right now. I think I'm okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, your multiplayer career actually expanded a little bit after that. You jumped over to Overwatch, to
Yeah.
to my understanding. What
Yes.
were your first impressions of that game?
Oh wow. Communication, 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 communication. Wow. That I spent when I left, right? When I left the whole clan thing, it was very much a very new world that I was stepping into, and I didn't really know what I was getting into because I never played any game that sort of had, these hey, pick your hero and this is what they can do kind of thing. I never experienced that. And
Yeah.
there's been plenty of games that happened before Overwatch that did that, but Overwatch just sort of happened to take the world by storm because of the creativity with characters, story, and well, when it first started, the balance between
Mhm.
all those characters. Granted, they all got balanced with every patch that came through every like 3 or 4 months or whatever.
Yeah.
But when I first started, I was very scared. I was very nervous because I was like, I don't know anybody here. I'm just dropping with a bunch of randos who might be having the same experience as me, or they could just be playing Overwatch for the first time, and this is their idea of a legend-based game, and this is
Yeah.
the first time. So it was very nerve-wracking, but it was fun, and I kind of realized that communication was important to that game. Like you could not sit still. You could not be hiding in the corner. You had to tell your people what you were planning to do. If
Mhm.
you had your ultimate, you told people, and then they would set up for that. And playing with a bunch of randos for at least the first 2 months, I think, and seeing that level of communication with people that you've never heard of, never knew their name, and never would see again probably after that match was kind of incredible because people would actually try to to set it up for you to get that get that kill spree or whatever you needed, and
Mhm.
to to capture the point. It was an interesting experience to just have it be completely random strangers each and every time, at least
Nice.
for the first 2 months. Yeah.
Nice. So who did you main when you started playing and got the hang of it?
Uh, Soldier 76 again. It just felt familiar with the whole ability to just like run really fast, shoot missiles from underneath the gun. It was like a grenade launcher, but it shot missiles. I don't
Mhm.
know. And he had an assault rifle, and I liked it because it was very like if you, for example, I don't have a proper gun for it. Actually, we'll do this. So the gun, I would compare it to something like the 301 or maybe a flatline.
Mhm.
I currently have a Spitfire attached, so if you shot it like so, I would shoot it in bursts because if you held it down, much like the Spitfire,
It just goes
it
all
just
over
went
the
all over the
place.
place. It
Yeah.
just goes all. It was a mad. It was just maddening. I hated the spray on that thing. But it was very much one of those situations where it kind of worked for me.
Mhm.
You know, it always worked for me. I thought it was the best, and I was like, I'll stick to that. Um, Later down the line, when I sort of met more people and like kind of started inviting me to their games more often, and we would set up parties and we would talk through it, and we would all try to get to the same server, whatever. I started realizing that maybe always running DPS, or rather an assault character, it maybe wasn't always for the best, and maybe that I should have to expand my horizons and become the tank or the healer. So I ended up picking up Diva for tanks, and I believe I picked Mercy for healing, and all three characters wildly different. They
Yeah.
offered completely different kits, even each and every time. and it was completely completely bonkers. But it was fun. It was very fun. Uh, I believe I also ran McCree. He was like the cowboy character with the revolver.
Yeah.
He was busted early on. Holy crap. He did so much damage. Oh my goodness. Anyway, lots of fun with all these characters, but I did stick to those three specifically: Soldier 76, Diva, and Mercy.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, did you notice a huge difference coming down from a competitive scene to one that's more focused on a player versus player experience?
Oh, dude, hell yeah! Oh my God, what a change! It was wild to say the least. Because again, like I wasn't playing steadily with anyone until maybe after the first 2 months of the game. Um, I ended up falling um, into this group of people that required one more person to fill out a team.
Hmm.
And it was summer vacation at the time. I believe it was summer vacation for most of them at least. Um, I think a few of them actually had jobs, but the ones that didn't, they were on all the time. So they would see me and they'd be like, "Hey, come in, let's play." And I'm like, "All right, cool, let's do this." And then we would play all together and we would laugh and have a great time. But again, that sort of level of professionalism wasn't there.
Hmm.
That level of organization to the degree of what the clan had just wasn't there because there was some level of organization because you kind of had to understand what every character did and how the people played them, right? So you kind of had to have that understanding of what every person had to offer the team, but it wasn't as say strategic or as what's the word strategic or
I would say
uh,
maybe large scale.
large scale. That's it. That's kind of what I was thinking. It wasn't as large scale or as strategic as you might think, because the maps that you had at the beginning of that game were very much all the same. If you stand where you are right now, and I'm trying to let me see if I can get up to a better vantage point. So let's say you are the point B, right?
Hmm.
And let's say where I'm currently going to be at, in front of the sign, was point A. You would start here,
Let's reposition here.
and then say you're the goalpost, right? And so you would say, oh, we gotta go. Let's go middle, and then take left, and use the left entrance, and get to goalpost. So naturally, we would all come out of the starting point, and we would take the left side, and we'd be like, bang, bang, bang. We gotta shoot whoever we got to shoot. You would have, what's his face, Junkrat, say, throw his bounce pad down, and you would like, poof, fly over, or you would have the tracer teleporting around to kind of thin out the numbers. But once you got past the gateway and you were already in the end game, you essentially won. No matter how much the resistance was there for protecting the goal, you, as long as you had maybe three people in the goaling like in the end game area, you won the game,
Hmm.
right? And I know that sounds incredibly simple given how Overwatch has kind of turned the whole esports thing on its head, but there wasn't much difference in terms of like how it was played. Especially when it came to capturing point B. Like going from starting pose and the defending team, keeping you at bay.
Yeah.
Um, you could go right side this time, or you could split the team into two different groups, one going right, one going left, and then capturing the choke point, by pinching them, and then once you wipe the defending team, you just beelined it for the end game, and then once you got there, it was essentially just the team just trying to keep you off end game, pushing you as far back as they could, and if successful, they would probably win that round, but it was very 50-50 at the very start of that experience, like in terms of when Overwatch kind of started out.
Nice.
With later maps, there was obviously push the payload, push a little bomb, get it all the way to end game. But
Yeah.
if there wasn't enough people on the payload, it would start going backwards, and you had to get on it again and push it. And
Hmm.
so you kind of had to be aware of like what characters made a difference in terms of like pushing the other team back so you can move the payload, or how to protect it, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, but very much so there was there was a kind of a difference in terms of the gameplay. So when people kind of like, hey, let's get on that payload, let's move, it was sort of like who could sit on it and keep it moving while the rest of the team pushed. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Pushed forward and protected it, and who got to the vantage point. So there was very much a very different sense of organization to it, but I still don't believe it was as organized as, say, a clan-based competitive scene. So it was huge difference, huge. It didn't even feel remotely the same, especially when the people that I ended up playing with as on routinely basis kind of were just playing the game for the sake of playing the game. They weren't
Yeah.
always winning, but that didn't matter to them. It didn't matter to them at all. It,
Hmm.
it was just like, hey, let's play, let's play. Okay, cool. If we win, we win. If we lost, well, what the hell, whatever. You know. So two very different mindsets, two very different gameplays with a similar theme of like capture point A, point B, or whatever, or move this to this thing and blow it up kind of thing. So similar, kind of in gameplay, mind you, similar, like search and destroy in terms of like they say Call of Duty,
Yeah.
but it was kind of it had similar themes, but the mindsets were completely different. Like wow,
Yeah.
it's super different. I could not like you would have to have played it at the time to really understand it. Playing Overwatch now is kind of ridiculous, but it is what it is. It still feels kind of the same at times, but it's kind of changed.
So, when it comes to your Battlefield Call of Duty experience
Mhm.
and your Overwatch experience, how long did you play Overwatch?
uh, pff, uh, Holy shit, that's a good question. Because I don't remember like dates or anything when it comes to Overwatch, so it's very difficult. I remember when I stopped playing it, when a certain character dropped and kind of ruined everything. That's I know I was there for let's say week two when it dropped because I had to wait for payday to go get the game.
Hmm.
So it was by when payday came around, it was week two anyway. So that's when I bought the game, and I was there until what's that character? Oh gosh. Oh damn it! I don't remember when that character dropped. I wanted the character's name was Orisa. She was like a centaur kind of robot thing with a laser beam, like a laser cannon and like a deployable shield.
Hmm.
I want to say that was maybe, maybe a year of me playing Overwatch. About there. Like it was already around that time when the first anniversary animation came out. I remember that.
Hmm.
And then Sombra had just come out, and she changed everything in terms of meta and like what you would run and what you couldn't run. Not that stopped anybody from picking the characters you shouldn't play, but whatever.
Yeah.
But when Orisa dropped, yeah, I want to say that was about a year. Yeah, about a year. Not very long. I know it sounds crazy, but about a year.
So you spent about a year on Overwatch.
About a year in Overwatch. Yeah, if I had to kind of really picture it, I want to say about a year.
So you almost put the same
Yeah.
amount of time into Overwatch as you did into your first clan Call of Duty Battlefield.
About there, I want to say because I know I put about 2 years into Battlefield Call of Duty, but again, I feel like I did way more for Call of Duty and Battlefield in terms of what I actually did for Overwatch.
Yeah.
You know, it was I think I don't remember how many hours I totaled out at the very end of that, but yeah, what an experience. Uh, Let me see here. I'm actually looking this up because I want to be sure. I want to say it was about a year. Okay, so May 24th, 2016 is when Overwatch dropped. So let's say 2 weeks after it dropped, I actually ended up getting involved into the game and trying to get into the community. And when she dropped, let me see. Yep, yep, just a little under a year actually. May 21st, 2017. That's when that
Mm.
specific character, Orisa, dropped. So yeah, about a year, roughly a year. So
Okay.
yeah, it wasn't very long, but at that point, I remember sticking around. Let's say another 2, 3 months. Let's say after Orisa dropped, and what ended up causing my departure from the whole franchise or the series rather was the fact that a lot of the people that had invited me, right, was like it was essentially a full team until sorry, almost a full team until I got there, and they're like, let's make this guy a routine guy, let's bring him in, let's be friends, let's swap, social medias, and get him involved, it was fun, and it was nice for them to bring me into that fold, and it was kind of nice to see how willing and open they were to just bring people in and make friends, and it was cool. But after let's say after that drop, when that character dropped, I noticed that a lot of the people kind of stopped playing or wouldn't play as often, and then I was like, hey, let's say, where did Lucy go? Where did Trevor go? What's going on? And they would say, oh, Trevor is out in college now. He won't be coming around for a while. Or Lucy, she's moving or whatever kind of thing. So life really did get in the way of us all continuing to play the game.
Yeah.
And there's not anything wrong with that. Shit happens. I understand. I get it. But once all these people departed for whatever their own reasons, that was like 6 or 7 people, I think, at the time. Once they all kind of, left and did their thing and, uh, you know, kind of just departed, I was there by myself. And when I say by myself, I mean I dropped with randoms every single day after they all disappeared.
Wow.
Um, so it became difficult. That level of fun, the level of like, I guess, quote unquote organization, wasn't there anymore,
Hmm.
and it sort of became difficult. Seeing other people play the characters that I had grown to love in the hands of other people that I respected and
Yeah.
appreciated. So it sort of became this kind of strange loneliness to the point where I couldn't play the game anymore because of how these people left. Some
Hmm.
people said goodbye, some people didn't say goodbye, some people just didn't know if they were coming back, and that sort of left this big gap within our group. And
Yeah.
till this day, I only actually keep in contact with one of them. So that says a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, as much as that year was for me, as fun as that was, sorry, as fun as that year was for me, it was very quick. It was very sad departure, more so than leaving the clan, uh, and it was very painful just to see that, life kind of had its way with everyone and kind of put them on a path for different adventures.
Yeah.
Um, I miss all of them. I saw one of them who hadn't been on for 2 years now actually sign in last week, and my heart sang when I saw their name light up on my friends list. And did I say hi? No, because I don't think they would remember me. So unfortunately, I just kind of said, maybe I won't say anything.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's
Actually,
interesting. Go ahead.
if I'm just give me one quick second, I'm gonna have to fix this cable here. It's snagged on something.
Okay.
Give me one sec. All right, technical difficulties fixed. We're all good. That was actually starting to hurt. All right, we're good. Moving on.
Yeah. It's interesting to look at how long you spent in your Call of Duty and Battlefield clan versus how long you
Hmm.
were in your Overwatch clan, and you
Yeah.
just said that the Overwatch departure actually felt more sad and more emotional than your clan
Oh
departure.
yeah.
Why do you think that is?
It's because I grew to know these people much more than I had ever grown to learn anything about, say. Well, actually, I grew to learn a lot about Tracy, but let's say my other teammates, I didn't really know a whole lot about them other than their names and their usernames and what they were capable of in the game.
Mhm.
So there was very much like, hey, I'm leaving, and then immediately getting pulled into a different server at a different party and being like, what the fuck, man? Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, Tony, man, like, what do you want from me, dude? Like, this shit's a mess, man. Like, what do you want me to say? Like, I can't keep running this, man. Like,
Yeah.
you're kind of running the team into the ground when Bruce is in here, and when Bruce is here, he's keeping it organized, yes, but it's not to the same degree as when you're both here. And when you guys are both here, I'm not even in control of my squad. I told him, so like, it doesn't even really matter. if I leave, right? You could just swap me out for any one of those guys. Hell, get Tracy to run it, I said. And they're just like, that's not the same. You have more experience in this and yada yada. And I was like, dude, Tracy has more kills than me. That should say more than enough for you guys. At least at the time, stat chasing was kind of a thing in the game.
Yeah.
With that kind of mindset of, the clan-based thing and whatever. So to me, that was that was a good enough resume, so to speak.
Hmm.
But when I left Overwatch, I didn't get the chance to say goodbye to some of these people.
Yeah.
I didn't get that opportunity. Some people just left and never signed back on. Some people, like for example, let's say Lucy, for example, we'll call her Lucy. She hasn't been on PlayStation Network for 2 years,
Yeah.
and then she just signed in last week, or last week. And I'm just
Wow.
like, holy shit, that's Lucy. Oh my god. You know,
Yeah, so
um,
that you would say that was a
yeah.
more Overwatch was a more intimate experience.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, so you got to
Because I
know these
started learning
people.
their. Oh yeah, I learned their names. I learned their likes and their dislikes. I learned what games they wanted to play outside of Overwatch, and I actually ended up going back to Street Fighter V because of that. Because one of them actually loved Street Fighter, so we were just like, "Oh man, let's go kill it! Let's go fight," and it was fun. And we would get involved in each other's lives in a way. Um, Granted, age difference was all across the board.
Yeah.
You had high schoolers, you had junior high, you had people that were practicing law. Law, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's so dope, man. Like, can I call on you? Like, what's up? But it was fun, man. Like, we actually got to know each other and each other's names to the point where Q wasn't even what they would call me,
Yeah.
over the mic. So it was like, wow, like there's like this level of friendship that was there that I never got to have necessarily with the whole clan. So,
Hmm.
or even this, let's say the squad that I had in the clan. So I
Yeah.
never got that. But when I had
Yeah.
it with these people and then had them leave, that sense of loneliness was overwhelming, and I was just like, I can't play this game anymore. Like I
Yeah.
can't. Aside from all gameplay aside to whatever happened to Overwatch, Overwatch is a tragic story, quite honestly. But the bigger tragedy, in my opinion, is the loss of friendship that I had with these
Yeah.
people. That's 7 people that were totally ingrained in my life when I dropped into the game, or
Hmm.
even outside of the game, to different games, like say Tomb Raider or Street Fighter V or Tekken 7, whatever. Whatever I found these people in, I ended up losing them across the board. So it was so much more painful. So much
Yeah.
more painful.
Essentially going back to y'all's favorite bar after everyone's moved on with life. And they don't go back
Exactly,
there, and they
exactly,
can't. They essentially can't or won't go back there, and you're
exactly.
just sitting
Yeah.
in a booth by
Too many
yourself.
memories, too
Yeah.
many photographs on the board. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
too much.
So was there anything else you wanted to share about your experience with Overwatch?
Uh, I loved I loved it. I miss it sometimes, not a lot, but I do miss the characters like stupid quips to one another.
Hmm.
I love the little character interactions that you could actually get when playing. It's quite humorous. Tracer is kind of like the goof character, like she just plays pranks on everybody and just has a lot of fun. And the Soldier 76 character is very much the quote unquote dad of the team. So when Tracer's running around and she's like, haha, woohoo, yippee! And Soldier 76 cuts in and is like, man up, we need you to stay focused, whatever, do this, go take the point. And then she's like, okay, dad! And then she just zips away, and I'm like, oh my god, that is hilarious. I love that. That's such a fun environment to be in, and that
Hmm.
very much invited that kind of personality to come into the game. And thusly, these friends that you make with the game very much kind of had that love and passion for just being around people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there was some toxicity that comes with every game, no matter what the
Yeah.
game is. But the level of friendship was incredible, and I wouldn't change it for the world. And I miss each and every one of the people that came and went. Sonic, shout out to Sonic. He's the one person that I actually still talk to every now and then. Love you. You're an idiot, but I still love you.
All right. Well, we are standing in the firing range of Respawn Entertainment's Battle Royale online multiplayer game, Apex Legends. And what do you have to say about Apex Legends? How did you hear about it?
A friend from work. Uh, so a lot of the guys that when I first started my current job, It's a chunky company. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm
Hmm.
allowed to legally say.
Yeah.
Uh, when I first started out there, there were a lot of young guys. When I say young, I say anywhere between 17 to about 25. Okay, so everyone was a gamer. Everyone.
Yeah.
Like even like the boomers that were there were gamers. Till this day, you could. There was a guy in Perishables that came up to me last week. Hey, what games you play, man? I'm like Overwatch. He's like, no shit. Who's your main? I'm like Bangalore Crypto. And this guy's like 50 something. He has kids, and his kids have kids, right? And he's like, oh no shit, Bangalore Crypto. That's kind of a strange mix you got there, boy. My guy's what did he say? Caustic. You know the gas? That's me, man. I'll mess you up. And I was like, no shit. That's crazy. And he's like, yeah, man, I play mobile. Hook me up with your thing. We'll play sometime. I
Oh
was
my
like,
god, that's
okay.
awesome.
So, but at the time when I first started, I kind of liked to talk about it with anybody who would listen. And a lot of the guys were there were like very into pop culture, gaming, music, film, TV, whatever. If you said Breaking Bad, someone across the dock said, who said that? And they would freaking run out and see what you're talking about, whatever. So when I said I like to play FPS games, third person, like Tomb Raider, Call of Duty, Overwatch, whatever. Actually, funny thing, uh, at the time before I left Overwatch, a couple of these guys at work actually invited me into their game, and we actually kind of ran a small team for a little while. Granted, work kind of had different scheduling, so it didn't last very long. But I did play with people at work. Now that I think about it,
Nice.
not for very long, but it was kind of fun. Um, yeah. Anyway, sorry. But yeah, that's so. One of the guys had overheard that I played FPS, and he's like, "So, what's your experience with this like?" And I was like, "I've been playing Call of Duty since like fucking junior high, part of the life." But like I love first-person shooters. I love them. I love Super Mario, whatever. And he's like, "Can you check out a game for me?" And I'm like, "What game be this?" And he's like, "It just dropped earlier this week. It's called Apex Legends." And I was like, "Cool, cool." Uh, yeah. And he's like, "It's kind of like Overwatch, where you pick a superhero and you kind of do your thing with that character's abilities." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And he's like, "I like the robot. Can you give me your opinion on the robot?" And I was like, "Sure, whatever." Uh, so I ended up going home that day, and I ended up booting up the trailer for it. It was that trailer that kind of the gameplay trailer, the very first one that kind of just ran through all the things that you could do with Apex
Hmm.
and what the characters all kind of did. Eventually, I ended up watching the Legend specific videos. So it was like Wraith, Pathfinder, or I think Gibraltar was one of the ones I actually watched too. Um, it was such a weird thing at first because I was so used to Overwatch that I wasn't expecting this kind of moody, down to earth kind of realism,
Yeah.
cyberpunk thing when I first dropped in. So I wasn't expecting it to be like that. I was kind of sort of thinking I would experience something cartoony, like kind of anime-ish, kind of like Saturday morning cartoon type of thing in terms of
Yeah.
what Overwatch kind of offered. So I watched the trailers. I came back the next day. Uh, we'll call him Sarah. We'll call him Sarah. So Sarah comes up to me and he's like, "Yo, so did you check out Apex Legends?" I was like, "I watched all the trailers that they currently have on their YouTube channel. I dig it. I think it's actually kind of fun." And he's like, "What about the robot man? I don't know his name. What's the robot called? Pathfinder. Ah, Pathfinder. Right, that's the guy. That's the guy I'm currently using. I love the zip lines. I think he's really cool for like getting over the mountains or the hilltops or whatever." And I was just kind of taking him at his word in terms of terrain because he actually played it before I did. So I was like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. I feel like that would make sense. I think if I had to main anybody, it would be Pathfinder because vantage points in previous lifetime as a sniper, it just kind of made sense to me."
Yeah.
So he's like, "Are you gonna play it? Can you play it? I want you to really get your hands on it. Give me your opinion and just get back to me. Get back to me." So I ended up downloading it on day 3, but actually playing it on day 4. And that's when I dropped for the first time as Pathfinder because, again, I just wanted to know if Pathfinder was right for me because, getting vertical just made sense to me in terms of sniping. So, and I still had very much this mindset of Team Sniper. I don't know why I brought that specific mindset with me because at Overwatch I was like all over the place. I could do anything.
Hmm.
So specifically, Team Sniper was interesting. I still couldn't tell you why I dropped that mindset when I came into Apex, but I still carried it, and that's what I kind of ran with for a very long time. Um, I ran Pathfinder. Sarah had asked me to pick out Wraith. I tried Wraith. I don't remember who that other character was that he asked me to play as, but he's like, kind of give me your opinion for each of these ones. Get back to me. I'm like, all right. So day 5, I come back in. I play more of the game, and I go to work. And then I said, hey man, like this is what I think about each and every character. And he's like, cool. This is how I play the game. And I was like, cool. And he's like, what out of all these 3 characters, which one do you think I should play better? Should get to get more experience with and play with and be better at the game with. And I was like, I think Pathfinder would actually work better for you. Granted, you have to learn your geometry a little bit to make stick the landing, but I think if you did that, you would have a better time playing the game, and I think it would work better for you as to what you play as, like what your strengths are. And he's like, cool, cool, cool. And then since then, I actually kept playing the game. I was like, this is kind of fun. It's different. It's very hit and miss when in terms of like boots on the ground, depending on who you play as. But I still had a lot of fun with it. It was very challenging because when I started out as a Pathfinder main, it's no secret. I very much wanted to see how that would work, and I was very good at that sort of geometry thing. Still am. But it wasn't working for me. And so later down the line, I kind of stepped away from him. But that's how I heard of it, and that's kind of how I started with it. So it was just a by recommendation, like word of mouth. And from then on, curiosity struck, and I kind of stuck with it. Yeah.
Nice.
And here
You,
I am.
yeah, you don't hear that very often. Most people are like, "Oh, I played Titanfall, and that's how it's the same company, same universe. That's how I learned about it." But no, that's really neat. You actually have a cool word of mouth story. Someone was like, "Hey, have you heard of Apex Legends?" Yours, yeah. So that's really neat.
hmm
So first dropping, testing out these legends, and all that. What were your first impressions playing the game, and how it felt to you as per your first-person shooter previous experience?
Dropping as each legend was very, and I actually did do that. I want that to be known. I dropped as each and every legend consistently because I hadn't found my niche. Is that the right word? Whatever. I hadn't found the calling, the one that was calling out to me the most.
Yeah.
And so I kind of had to figure something out. Like, I knew I wanted to snipe, I knew what I was good at in terms of FPS, and I wanted to sort of bring it here. But then I realized, like, oh, there's bullet drop. Oh, I have to put pieces together, so to speak, and what piece belongs better. And so it wasn't just about, crafting the guns. It was like, what ammo does this gun take? Where can I find the most of it? What places of interest are there? What armor is good for what situations? And what fast charge. I didn't even know about that. I didn't know about fast healing either until like later down the line.
Yeah.
So dropping as each and every legend and having the mindset of always being prepared and kind of being able to kind of like predict what I wanted to do as the game went on before the game even started, I kind of had to figure out what each legend could provide me personally. And I want you to keep that in mind. What the legends provided me personally. That's a key phrase. What it provided me personally. Because when I first started dropping, I had no team. I had no one to rely on. Sarah and I didn't have the same schedule, so we could play together, and no one else at work seemed to even have heard of this game until much later,
Hmm.
like say 2-3 months later. So I had nobody to fall with. I had no one to drop with. I had no one to talk to about it, except for Sarah when he was at work, and he wasn't at work very often because his schedule just didn't line up. So dropping each and every time for myself kind of became the mindset as to what guns am I grabbing, what ammo am I running, what armor am I running, and how many heals am I carrying for me.
Yeah.
All right, and it was complicated because there was such a well, I say such a variety, but really realistically, it was only just like a handful of characters at the time.
Yeah.
But I hadn't found the one. Pathfinder didn't work. Mirage didn't work. When I unlocked him, Caustic was a mess when I first started using him. I mean, I eventually got better, but it still wasn't working. Ah, man, it was rough. Let me tell you, it was a rough first month or so. Yeah, no joke.
Yeah.
It was rough. Yeah,
Yeah.
but like with
We.
the, oh no, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I mean, you and me just recently went back looking through the footage. That game looked rough when it started.
Oh my God, yeah, it's very true. Like I went back through my archive, what was it, like a week ago, 2 weeks ago,
hmm
and I could tell that I was struggling to figure something out. But I can also tell when I figured it out and when it's finally started clicking.
Yeah.
But it was a rough journey to start out with, man. I'm not lying to you. That was rough.
Yeah. So, what do you feel like your motivation was during those early stages of the game?
I wanted to get better. I wanted to drop and say, I got this. That was the biggest motivator at that time when I first started dropping. I was like, this is it. This is where it's going. This is how it's going to happen. Bam. Get there. Do it. Each and every time. You know, I had to. I kept telling myself, hey, this is just how it's going to be. You're going to be here by yourself for a while. You're going to play with a bunch of randos who might not have the same experiences, but you're going to drop anyway, and you gotta be able to do this for yourself. You know, again, that's an important phrase for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you were searching for your main, so to speak, what
Mm-hmm.
was what exactly were you looking for? Because this game does a really good job of making each legend feel eh, drastically different.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly were you looking for when you were searching for your main?
Mobility and self-control of well, when I say self-control, I say more or less control of what I could do on my own without having to rely on abilities.
hmm
And then mobility in terms of like getting across the map, across the rocks, across the hills, bins, whatever. I had to be able to skirmish, and I had to do it quick. Those were the things that I was looking for, and I eventually did find it in Wraith. Uh, as weird as that sounds, I know it sounds impossible these days, but I found it in Wraith,
Looking at all
and
you
it did.
TTV rates out there.
Yeah, it's insane. I know it sounds nuts, but I found it in Wraith. Her ghost mode really provided a challenge because I couldn't see enemies, right? So running around with her ghost mode kind of provided that challenge of like I have to remember where everyone is, and then I have to get to point B, but still be able to fully comprehend where I left everyone, like
hmm
in terms of like where they were last, and I had to keep that in mind. Um, Once I mastered that, well, at least to my opinion, I'd like to think that I mastered it with her ghost mode or her ghost walk, whatever. Uh, I feel like I mastered it, and then it was more or less just like what weapons did I want to run? What weapon worked best for me? In terms of in terms of skirmishing and getting in your face and really delivering the pain. At the time, I settled for the 301, occasionally the flatline, and Peacekeeper. Always ran it. Uh, Eventually, when Disruptor rounds came around, I actually ended up picking up the alternator lots more. And there's footage of that somewhere.
Disruptor
But yeah,
rounds, rip.
yeah, yeah, big time. I missed that.
Yeah,
I actually missed the sound that it made more so than the hop up itself. But like, I still loved it. Lots
yeah.
of fun. Yeah.
So, what was the, what were the challenges that you felt when you were searching for your main?
I hmm. The challenges were very much being consistent.
hmm
Like I always trying to put my best foot forward and staying organized, being prepared. But in a battle royale game where you have to kind of put your weapon together and find the heals that you need, the right amount of heals you need, and the armor that you need to be safe and prepared, became very difficult for me because I didn't know exactly what had what did what, so to speak. Like gold helmet, I didn't know it really fast charged, so I didn't expect to look for it. And it was so rare at that time. So I only ever really went for blue and purple. Purple mainly because it just took a lot of damage, so it protected my noggin.
hmm
Um, I knew I wanted at least blue backpack, and or purple. If I had gold backpack, then God bless. But
Yes.
it consistency in the armor was and supplies and the weapon was definitely a big part of that challenge,
Hmm.
because when selecting the legend that I would eventually come to be associated with, it took time and a lot of effort because I didn't know what every character was truly available to do for me, you
Hmm.
know? So I knew I could run fast and I could take no damage when I was ghost walking, or if I got, say, Octane Speed Boost, it would only take me for so long and it would last so long, and I was like, oh, that's where I'm dropping the ball. That's why I'm not consistent. I'm not thinking about the cooldown. I'm not thinking about this. I'm not thinking about the charge that it takes to, or how long the charge takes for the ultimate accelerant or the ultimate itself. I wasn't thinking about that. So
Hmm.
that was something that really provided a challenge for me to not only be aware of how much ammo I had, the heals that I had, or the armor for that matter, but what really provided the challenge in selecting a main was the cooldowns and not always keeping it in the forefront of my mind.
Hmm.
That was the challenge. And because I didn't end up really paying attention to it until maybe, say, the tail end of season one, I was just struggling really hard. And like I was like, man, I should be able to do this. Ah why
Hmm.
am I not doing this? And then when I eventually started paying attention to cooldowns and whatnot, uh, it all sort of came to a head, and then it sort of started falling into place like dominoes. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
And
super wild.
for just for the record, had you played any battle royale games before Apex Legends?
No, not a one. First and last, probably. This will be for
Okay,
Apex Legends. Yeah.
interesting. So thinking about your experience with Overwatch, because there's cooldowns in Overwatch, correct?
Oh, absolutely. But it's not to the extent as you would think it would be once you have your mains. Like once you have your
Hmm.
mains in Overwatch, you know exactly what you're getting. Um, because like I said, it's from point A to point B. That's the
Hmm.
gameplay. Narrow. If I had to simplify it, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So you didn't really have to like, oh my god, I gotta get over this giant ass mountain and into the soup bowl at the very end. Oh
Yeah.
my god, there's like six teams there. Oh my god, what am I gonna do? Oh,
Hmm.
my ultimate's not ready. Ah, shit. It wasn't that at all. Like you didn't have that expectation. You know what I'm saying? Like you
Yeah.
didn't have to worry about it ever. Like sure, oh, you would count down like the last 10 seconds of your ultimate or your cooldown, but it really realistically everyone else would either have their ultimate or just be close to getting it, so they would do theirs and then you could follow up.
Hmm.
That's what Overwatch was like. There was always a follow up to someone's ult, and there was characters that paired better in terms of their ultimate abilities or their regular abilities, so you didn't really have a lot to worry about. But in Apex, if you're dropping solo like I was for the first month or so, you kind of had to fend for yourself, and you kind of had to pay attention to that, which was I wasn't doing until maybe after like the first, like up until the maybe the tail end of season one. That's when I kind of, ah, that's what it is. Got
Yeah.
it. Now I know what I need to do. And then I flipped this out, like I flipped it on its head, and I kind of just kept going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like once you got the hang of the battle royale scene, the that came in later because you were focused on trying to catch up with the battle royale scene, and then you're like, wait, what's up?
Mm-hmm.
And then the cooldown part of your brain from Overwatch was like,
Yep.
hey, these are here too.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Like that's kind of how it fell into place. Like guns, guns, attachments, armor, healing. You know,
Hmm.
and then eventually the legend itself. Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty
nice.
crazy. Yeah, it's intense. Hmm.
So when you had Wraith being your main at that time, how did
Hmm.
you feel about going through the rest of those characters and finding Bangalore? Like, what did that feel like whenever you first started putting time
Uh,
with Bangalore?
it was very jarring, you know, because with Wraith, I was like, there's a sense of familiarity. I can take no damage when going Ghost Walk, and her ultimate ability helps with escapes or repositioning. So that felt familiar. Um, but when I kind of fell upon Bangalore, it was uh, very jarring. It was very disconnected, and I was like, "That's so weird how this feels different, and how much better it actually felt."
Hmm.
Um, it How do I don't know exactly how I would put it into words aside from jarring and disconnected and way more familiar than Wraith could have ever been.
Hmm.
When I ended up finding, well, here, for example, smoke grenades
Smoke out.
were a part of my kit in Call of Duty and Battlefield. I used that to blind my enemies and kind of get behind them for close-ups and stab or shoot or whatever. I used it to provide cover for my teammates. So I was like, oh, I can do this.
Pop in the chimney.
And provide my team with cover and time to reposition or heal or just get the fuck out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's familiar. Huh. Weird. And then if I could actually have you shoot me for a quick second here. I'll step out of this smoke. And then open fire. Oh, wait, hold on. Hold on. There we go. We got it. Yeah, then you got the speed boost thing. That was insane. And then I was like, oh, this feels even more familiar. Because when I had ran Call of Duty for a while after the fact that I left, and just slightly before Overwatch, even before all that, one of the things I did was carry Lightweight, the perk.
Mm-hmm.
And then
My shields are recharged.
that essentially made you way lighter, which means you could run faster and run farther
Nice.
than anyone else that didn't have that perk. So I was like, oh, this is just like Lightweight. Huh. Weird.
Did she, and refresh my memory, did Bangalore have that speed boost when under fire starting out?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Huh, I must have forgot that. I thought they added that later.
Oh, no, that was her passive. It's been her passive. Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. And that's
yeah,
and
then
that's an interesting feeling you got for a feeling very jarring but also very familiar.
yeah, it was because how different the two characters were.
Mm-hmm.
And then as everything sort of fell into place, like so,
Painless knocking at
the
the
final
door.
thing was the ultimate. Now, keep in mind, there's a very similar kill streak that you can get in Call of Duty, where you just drop a bunch of missiles on people,
Yeah.
like a cluster of missiles, or even just one missile. And I was like, huh, that feels familiar too. That's weird. And so that's kind of how it all started. And then I was like, cool, very cool. I can dig this. And then it kind of narrowed down to what gun I was going to pick with her. And then it sort of eventually became the Hemlock. And then, just kind of knocking everyone down and sort of remembering to keep the spread from going too far. ADS, flicking it down, and I was like, huh, this feels good. And then like a couple seasons later, the Spitfire, right? Being able to shoot for like what feels like a full-on eternity.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, damn, this is kind of hot. And I dig it. And I was like, this works for me. Being the key phrase here.
Yeah.
And eventually, over time, I met you. And that's when everything sort of fell into place, even more so than it already had.
Yeah. And I don't remember exactly when you started maining Bangalore. We met a little bit before that because you were still running Wraith a little
Yeah,
bit.
I was still running Wraith, yeah.
Yeah.
But, we met, let's say, kind of a month or so, let's say like a month before I actually started routinely picking her.
Mm-hmm.
And it was still very much Wraith, all the escapes, repositionings, and whatnot. And actually, our first game together was Wraith, I think. I'm pretty sure. We went over water treatment. I remember jumping down there, and
Oh, nice.
you were like, I don't remember who you were playing. I think you were playing Mirage. I want to say you were. We were going down towards, the line was going towards Thunderdome. We jumped off, because you were Jump Master, we jumped off towards water treatment. and you were rattling off stats for all these guns because you had just spoken to a bunch of guys who were like, hey, the 301's actually the best gun because it's so accurate, yada yada. So you were repeating that to me, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. How do you play? And then you told me how you played, and I was like, maybe you should run this gun instead because it sounds a little bit more akin to what you would do. And that's kind of how it all started falling into place. Because by then I had already figured out what I was doing with the weapons and the armor and the healing, and then kind of already started paying attention to the whole cooldown thing with Wraith. And then, let's say, by the time you came back from your little hiatus, I was already forlong into Bangalore by then.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how we ended up running, yeah. And I
Nice.
was in my Officer Williams skin, actually. By that point.
Oh. Oh,
Because
yeah, I remember that.
I had taken it out of a box. It was my legendary, my first legendary, actually. And I
Nice.
started running that. And then, actually, our first match together was actually the whole Captain America story. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you guys can check that out on my YouTube and my Twitch.
Oh, absolutely. Great time. If you ever wanted to see the amazing beginnings of a friendship, that's the one.
Yep, that is.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
So when you got your groove here
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
you found your girl,
Yeah.
what kept you motivated just to keep pushing? Because you're a pretty dedicated individual. Once you get set in with a legend, then you'll
Hold
just
on, let
you'll.
me correct you something. I have to correct you on that. I'm not dedicated. I'm stubborn as hell.
Oh,
There
okay.
is a level of dedication,
That's a fine
but it's
line.
mostly I'm mostly just stubborn as hell. Yeah, but that no, go ahead. I just wanted to make sure we understood where that was coming
Just
from.
needed
It is
context.
dedication. It is dedication, but there is a level of stubbornness to it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
because based on what you just told us,
Hmm
you
hmm
kind of got everything kind of figured out. Not necessarily
hmm
skill wise. Obviously, you're still starting out, but you had all the
hmm
bases set out. You know, the
Yeah,
ult, the tactical, what you needed, the battle royale scene. You've pretty much got down. This one anyway.
yeah.
What kept you coming back to play her once you figured out that she was, you were gonna just dedicate that time and she was gonna be your main? What kept you coming back? Because things over time do tend to get repetitive.
Oh yeah.
So what
Um,
made you, what motivated you to keep playing as her?
um, Tony and Bruce. Uh, when the solo mode first dropped, I was still very much experimenting with Bangalore at the time, and Wraith and Octane, I think, was even involved at that point. But it was still very much Bangalore. Um, excuse me, I don't know, that just got hit with a wave of emotion
That's okay.
I apologize. Tony and Bruce were very much my team leaders, and they always will be. When I drop in any game regarding a weapon and FPS, I always think of what would they do when they first drop in a game that they've never played before, have no experience in the style of the game. What would they do? Um, when I eventually found Bangalore and the solo mode came out, I tried the solo mode. As crazy as that sounds, I tried it. By then, I had already picked up the Hemlock and sort of practicing with it, and sort of eventually came to master the whole flipping to keep the spread from going too far. Um, but I still didn't know how to handle it myself. I got scared. I got nervous. I got kind of erratic in terms of like how I felt about the whole situation, being alone, technically still,
Hmm.
um, and what I was going to do next. And that's when Tony's voice came into my head, and he's like, "Hey, knock it off! You got a job to do. Go do it." I was like, "Shit, you're right. Let's go." So I went off, and then the first ring started closing in solo mode, and I'll never forget. She's like, easy 30, rings right around the corner. I was like, "Oh shit." Yeah, she's right. She's totally right. Yeah, okay, yeah, let's go, let's go, let's go. And then I freaking ran. I ran into a team, or sorry, not a team. Like it was they were both solos, but they were kind of both targeting me, and they hadn't noticed each other yet.
Uh huh.
And so I was like, shit, and I was like, bam, bam, and I was like dropping one. I had to freaking reposition, run over here, and this was just by just outside of uh outside of Thunderdome, not too far out, but just Down that hill by the supply bins,
Hmm.
like those three supply bins. Yeah,
Yeah.
just around there. Just around there when it happened. One guy was coming out from the supply bins, the other one coming from the top of the hill, and I was kind of in between. And I was like, ah, god damn it, you guys are freaking run out of here! And I was like, bam, bam, bam. Oh man, it was so intense. Um, and then she's like, ha, got it, okay, go. And then what was that? There was this one specific line. Sorry, I'm a little rattled.
No, that's
That
fine.
question got to me. I'm not gonna lie.
No, it's okay.
Um, and and she kind of kept herself motivated. And every line she said had either reminded me of something Bruce had told me or something that Tony said. And I was like, oh my god, it's like they're here. It's like they never left. Um, and so that sort of kept me going. And then, whenever she, pings a weapon, for example,
Longbow here. Semi-auto DMR.
she says something quippy and, you know,
Spitfire here.
you know,
Prowler SMG here.
they'll point something out or a fun fact about the
Wingman here.
weapon.
Hmm.
And then, P20 usually activates a line.
P2020 here.
Grew up with one of these, and,
R99 here.
she'll, she'll just kind of talk about each
Alternator
weapon and sort of tell you what the
G7
options
Scout here.
are. And then it's like, well, we don't have choke anymore,
Gotta
but...
hop up here. Hammer point.
And then she'll tell you what it's all about, and then she'll kind of break it down to you. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, damn, that's actually kind of helpful. That's good to know. And then it's like,
Knockdown shield here.
level 4, it'll help you out with this and that. And I was like,
Triple take here.
interesting. And it's like, just going down the
Sentinel
cycle
here.
of weapons and having her tell me how it was almost felt like I had Tony and Bruce there training me once again. And so I was like, man, this kind of feels nice. Feels like I'm not actually alone. That's nice.
Yeah.
And then I kept coming back because of her over-explaining. And it made it a lot easier to be here. And then eventually you returned, eventually we met and you returned, and I had someone to drop with, and I was like, oh, cool, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It felt good, and that's why I kept coming back.
Nice.
Yeah,
So
felt nice.
with Bangalore acting as a reminder of your time with Tony and Bruce during
Hmm.
your Battlefield Call of Duty days, did that
Hmm.
at any point make you feel like going back or contacting anyone?
Um, yeah, I'd be lying if I said no, but it really did. I wanted to say, hey, what are you guys doing now? And eventually, I guess you could say I Facebook stalked them, but I ended up finding out that they kind of split off into their own thing, and eventually I discovered that they had their own teams, brand new people for Bruce, I think, mostly brand new people, at least I think that was the case. And Tony kind of took whatever was left over and kept whoever wanted to stick around, and eventually brought in new people. But they both have their own thing. I think Tony is still going. Bruce is steadfast. I don't think they'll be slowing down anytime soon.
Nice.
But yeah. Hmm.
Okay, so let's skip ahead a little bit. You've had a decent bit of
Hmm.
time with Bangalore at this time.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about the transition you had between Season 2, Battle Charge, and Season 3.
Okay. Okay. Um. Well, in season 2, I sort of kind of had this situation where I kind of had doubled back into Wraith and sort of began maining her again. Well, not to the extent that I had once previously had,
Hmm.
or it was like every single game was Wraith. Every now and then I dropped, Bioctane, I think, and Bangalore. I actually officially retired in season 2, like the back end,
Hmm.
and I didn't get the battle pass for that one or anything like that, and I just kind of like I got bored of the game. I got tired of it, and I just didn't really like the fact that I was still dropping and I wasn't learning anything.
Hmm.
Um, in the back end of season 2, you called me back, You said I can't drop with randoms anymore. I'm getting tired of it. I can't rely on anybody. I need my wingman. That stuck out to me. I need my wingman. I love pilot games, like, dogfights, being in a jet plane. I love those games.
Hmm.
It's like a little guilty pleasure of mine because like no one else really plays them, but the people that do kind of like understand why.
Hmm.
And I always saw myself as a pilot when getting into a vehicle or into a plane in a game. So when you said wingman, I need my wingman. I was like, oh man, shit. I guess I have to come in. But when I came back, for those last few months of season two and eventually getting into season three, uh, I had a very different mindset. I didn't expect to be here every single day, every single night, or whatever. I said I'll only come back if he calls me. Like if he texts me that he needs somebody to play with, I'll come back. I by then I had already known that you're doing Twitch, and I understand that hey, sometimes not having someone reliable to drop with you makes content sour. I understood. And so I was like, okay, he probably wants someone consistent and someone that he can actually rely on, someone he can shoot the shit with, and not have it be a problem. So I came back because of that, and going into season three, um, something happened that I became very upset with myself. It was no fault of anyone. It was just more of like my mindset had kind of flipped against myself rather, and I sort of felt like I was missing something. Um, Something actually that you had said struck a chord with me, and you had gotten past 500 kills, and I was still at. Oh, jeez. Hold on. Let me check that post because I want to make sure I get this right because it's very important to this story, and I want to make sure the facts are straight. Because you had just passed, I want to say about 500 kills. I want to say that was the case,
Yeah, I think so.
and and I was I was kind of like having a moment with myself where I couldn't really get anywhere, and I kind of plateaued. That's the word, plateaued. I
Mm.
plateaued, and it became very difficult, and I was stuck at 477 kills when this mindset happened. And you're like, I got to 500 kills. I was like, woo! And you started poking fun at me, and you're like, you gotta catch up to me, man. You're slowing down. I was like, fuck that. And that's when I got so upset with myself, man. I can't even tell you how angry I was. I was like, shit, he's right. I've gone soft. Fuck. I got so mad, and I was just like, forget it. And I dropped everything.
You dropped
And I,
500 kills in like a month.
in a month, yeah,
Because I don't think I
yeah,
even broke
actually,
past. I don't even think I hit 600, and you had already hit 1K.
yeah.
I was like,
And,
holy cow!
and, well, I'll be honest with you, and I've said this a couple of times. It wasn't actually a month. Technically, I guess if you wanted to look at it like that, it was a month. But technically speaking, in-game time, so that is me logging in, playing, no bathroom breaks, not eating, no, mainly just consuming water and the occasional banana, and then turning it off, and then sleeping or whatever, going into the next day, booting it up, and playing again, and repeating that process. It took me 3 in-game days to get it. 3 days of actually just non-stop playing. When I say 3 in-game days, I mean the total amount of hours that I put in over the course of a month-ish would be the equivalent of 3 days. That's what I'm trying to say.
So it's
In
what,
one month,
72 hours?
that's 72 or 96. I can't remember. I'm not good at days. But that in 96 hours over the course of a month, I got 500. Well, I got 1K from starting at 477. Yeah,
Wow.
and yeah, and so by that point, my Bangalore had already sort of evolved into something more familiar that we kind of currently know, uh, like how I've become associated with her.
Mm-hmm.
And but by then, I was still sort of figuring out ricochets, and the timing of certain things, and the angle, the what her what the arc was like,
Mm-hmm.
and when season 3 came around, she had no trajectory line.
Mm-hmm.
So by then I actually had to put in the time to learn what that looked like. And I was like, ah man, that's a lot of effort, and I kept going, and within that month, I remember sort of like turning it on its head and really putting in the effort to learn how limited her smoke was, to learn how I could ricochet the smoke in order to hit my opponents,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and to sort of do that. And I was like, man, this is kind of intense. And I remember really getting involved and really wanting to get better, really wanting to prove something to myself. And what I wanted to prove to myself was that I was good at the game.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was doing with the game was worth the time that I had put in within that month or within the time I had spent with Apex up until
Yeah.
that point. And that was what that transition was all about. It was me just being completely frustrated at having grown stagnant, grown complacent with what I was doing, not improving, not necessarily even really getting anywhere with what I wanted to do with the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, no, I have to get better. I have to do this for myself. For myself. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that was that.
So you got eventually with just that one moment, you just
Hmm.
that was like your snapping point with yourself. You were just like, nope,
Oh yeah.
I'm not gonna do this.
Yeah. And I actually, yeah, that was basically what that meant. Yeah. But there were some things in between that had happened that sort of flipped that mindset on its head,
Mm-hmm.
and very much sort of changed the dynamic that I ended up having grown into, rather,
Mm-hmm.
the mindset that I have grown into, and to what it kind of currently is till this day. I think, for the better. Yeah.
Nice. So with Apex Legends now moving into a new season and characters being nerfed, what led you to becoming a full-time Bangalore main? Like at a certain point, you were just that was the only person you picked.
Yeah.
So what led
Um,
you to that signed, sealed, delivered moment of just being a Bangalore main?
the Bangalorian, the name.
Yeah.
Um, the name is what caused that. Um, because by that point I had already reached my 1,000 kills, and I had met Shy, Alex, and uh, tragically we forgot to mention her a lot earlier, but Maddie was also involved here.
Yes.
Um, God bless in each and every one of you guys, both yourself, Maddie, and Shy and Alex. But when my journey began for 1,000 kills, I sort of stuck with Maddie because she had this sort of familiar sense of someone of my past, and there was this sort of rivalry, and we sort of had this connection that kind of felt familiar. Um, she very much reminded me of Tracy, my rival from my clan days, um, in terms of her ability with sniping and just all around sort of personality and what she provided in game to the team. Um, but the name itself, the name, the Bangalorian, comes from a little bit of a Discord chat that we had with between all four of us, myself, Maddie, Shy, and Alex. We met Shy and Alex during a duos match where we actually kind of teamed up together as four people to just fight the entire server, and it was a lot of fun. That's a story all on its own, but the chat that we had in Discord, Shy had posted a picture of Bangalore with like a Star Wars background. I don't remember the image off the top of my head. I just remember it was Bangalore, and then she was like superimposed onto it like a Star Wars thing, and she was like, "Haha, the Bangalorian," and I was like, that's funny. That's hilarious." And then by this point, I had my 1,000 kills. I was already showing them what I could do with Bangalore, and everyone sort of became familiar with it. And that name stuck in the ether, so to speak. The Bangalorian. Bam, bam. And Alex reached out to me like a day or so later after she dropped the name, the Discord server that we had going on. And he's like, "Hey, it's Alex. Just wanted to say hi. Hope you're doing all right. I know you had a rough day at work today, but I wanted to run something by you." And I was like, "Okay, cool. What's up?" And he's like, "I think you should consider," that being the keyword, consider changing your username to the Bangalorian. You know, the underscore Bangalorian or the Bangalorian one word or whatever you get. But I think you should consider it. And I was like, no, I don't think so, dude. I don't know. To me at the time, it sounded very egotistical. It sounded like I was bragging about how good I was with Bangalore, and I don't really do that. I don't like bragging or whatever. In moments of celebration, yeah, "Do you know who I am?" kind of slips
Yeah.
out, and you get into it, and you sort of, you get hyped up. You get yourself hyped up on your own ego or your own excitement for what just happened, and that's kind of when it slips. I'll admit, I'm only human, but realistically, I don't like doing it.
Mhm.
So when he said the Bangalorian, consider you changing your name, I was like, no way. And I'm like, why do you think that's a good idea? And he's like, well, it suits you. And I was like, what? And he's like, well, yeah, you put so much time and effort into her, it makes sense. The Bangalorian, right? It's cool. Anyway, I think you should do it, and I think it would be cool if you did because I think Shy would really appreciate it if you did. And I was like, okay, I'll think about it. I said, and that was the end of the conversation. And I remember like a day going by, and then I logged in, and then I sort of went back to the videos that I had in my capture gallery, and I kind of went through all the Bangalore ones, and I was like, oh, I did this, I did that, and I'm tagging with the people with the smoke, I'm blinding them from like 160 meters out, whatever, and then pushing that limitation even further, and I was like, ah. And then I kind of leaned back into my seat, and I'll never forget it. I remember leaning back into my seat and being like, I did put a lot of effort into her, and I just got 1,000 kills. I just bought her a new skin. I'm spoiling her. I've ascended. That's the word I like to use for that sort of thing. And I was like, I ascended, and the Bangalorian. And then I kind of had to change my opinion of the whole being egotistical thing and whatever. And then I had to kind of change it in order to see it in a different light. So I broke it down. What does the Bangalorian come from? What are the two things that put that name together and really make it sound amazing? First of all, the Mandalorian, a clan from the Star Wars franchise, the Star Wars series, that specializes in combat and weapons expertise. Right? They are born and bred for the specific reason of being good at combat. They're mercenaries, usually, but they're good at it. Like, they're freaking amazing. Like, if you want something done combat related, you call a Mandalorian. Right? And I was like, cool, that makes sense. They put a lot of time. They get one gun or one weapon, and that's their weapon for life. They know the ins and outs of that weapon. They know what they're supposed to be doing with it. They know the pros and cons, but they keep it and they run it every single day of their life,
Yeah.
no matter the situation. And then I was like, what's Bangalore? Bam, what's Bangalore do? She's a soldier, she's a professional, she knows the ins and outs of every single weapon she has, she grew up with the P-20, and she knows that she can rely on it no matter the situation, and she'll pick it up for the rest of her life. I was like, damn. Interesting, I said to myself. And then I said, what does that mean for me? And then I had to kind of like switch it around again, and I was like, okay. The Bangalorian. What does that mean me? And I said, okay, let's picture myself as a Mandalorian here in Apex Legends, playing Apex Legends, and picking a character that I'm gonna play for the rest of my time here, rest of my career with Apex, who is that? Who did I pick? And I was Bangalore. I was like, all right. Do I know the ins and outs of that character? Yes. Do I know the cooldowns, the limitations, the charge time? And yes. Have I perfected that? Can I pick her every single time and know what I'm getting for the rest of my time here? Yes. I was like, oh shit, I'm the Bangalorian. I was like, oh my god, I I am the Bangalore. It's not so much bragging about what I could do. It was so much coming to accept the fact that I was good with Bangalore. Being able to ricochet smoke off a wall and just completely smoke screen an entire hallway. To be able to fucking throw my smoke 100 meters out at an angle to somebody that's in a
Let's
tower
reposition here.
and blind them completely. And to maybe be on the tower smoking this
Enemy
guy
spotted.
and smoking hitting the smoke off a wall and having the pods break up into three separate smoke grenades and hit him 3 times with each and every grenade and get damage, 10 damage, but it's still 10, it's still damage, but being able to track the armor he has,
You know?
you know? And I was like, shit, that guy got purple, that guy got blue, that guy got white, that guy got tin, or gold, or whatever. Guys, we know what we have to do. We know what he's running. We have to pinpoint that guy and take him down because he has the best armor. Or, hey, this guy's running sniper, but he only has blue. Focus, focus, focus. Lay him out. And I was like, oh my god. I am the Bangalorian. I did pick this character and specialize. My effort was worth it. My
Yeah.
time, my tears, my raw and bloody thumbs, all of it. The amount of effort I took to learn all these things, the countless hours in fucking firing range. It meant something. It meant something to people that I regularly played with, to the point where they decided to name me for my efforts.
You know?
And I said to myself, this isn't about me anymore. It might never have been. Maybe I put all of this effort into this one character, into this game, not to come crawling out of the pit that I was in before Apex, to just be on my own and be my own island and be me, but maybe it was to come out of that hole a stronger person, but for the team. That I was calling out the armor, calling out the people, blinding the enemies, so I could give my team the advantage. And that's when I was like, oh shit, this is it. I am the Bangalorian. And that is what kept me here. As Bangalore, as a full-time Bangalore for almost, say 4 seasons, almost 4. Let's say 3.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what kept me here. That's what motivated me to come back, no matter the nerfs, no matter what. I had to prove a point, to not only to myself, but say that my team can rely on me each and every time that I dropped. To say that, hey, this is it. This is what you guys call me here for. This is what you're getting. This is for you guys. Each and every time, without question.
You know?
Yeah.
And you've come.
That's what kept me
You've
going.
come a long way. Even I just want to point out just a timestamp. I don't know when I posted that clip, but it was when you took a break. I think it was probably towards that tail end of season 2 or season 3 probably, and we weren't playing for a while. And I remember
Yeah.
I started playing with randos and squatting up with people, and it was drastically noticeable even then. And we're coming up on season 6, so that's 3 seasons past when this clip happened. And people were talking about Bangalore and stuff, and your time put in with this character was already noticeable back then. That
Mhm.
I genuinely felt spoiled because every other Bangalore
Yeah,
I played with was
I
absolute
remember that.
crap, and that was
I
just
remember that.
yeah, and
Yeah, I remember you saying
that was
that.
back in season 3, and it's just like we're almost in season 6, almost 3 seasons later, and
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
just you're just expounding, and you're still learning, and you're
Oh man,
still just
it never
adding
ends.
you're adding metals to that set of bulletproof armor you've got with just continually every season. You just keep adding. You rank up, so to speak. You keep ranking up. You keep learning, and you keep running your drills, and you're
Yeah,
maintaining. You're maintaining that title,
yeah, yeah.
and I mean, I would have gave it to you back in season 3, but I mean, you've definitely earned that title, and that's
I appreciate
from
that. Thank you.
yeah, and that's from your team. That's not from some Star Wars nut or someone getting paid to tell you that. That is people who have
Mm.
genuinely experienced the
It
skill and the time.
absolutely.
And we weren't
Yeah,
there. We weren't in the firing range with you for hours, but everything that you did and the time that you put in showed in game.
yeah. Oh
And
man, I appreciate you saying all of that. Honestly, honest to God. I mean, when you there was this time when you were playing with Cat and Game Boy, and you just said like, I played with this one Bangalore, and I generally felt blessed, and I was like, that, oh, blessed, spoiled. Those aren't just words that just get thrown around, and specifically the word blessed. I came from a bit of a religious background, so the word blessed has a whole different meaning to me than it might do to other people. But
mhm,
when someone says blessed, to me, from what I've learned in that kind of history in my lifetime, it doesn't just mean like, oh, hey, this is great and this is amazing. No, it's a life-changing experience to be blessed, to be considered blessed. So when you said you were blessed, I was like, oh wow, that's crazy. I didn't think my time really meant much to anybody. Even after the fact that I got that name and I kept it, I still didn't have that confidence in that name. Sometimes I've doubted myself even, and I even put more time in, and I tried to get better. Even the fact that I had increased my ability, I still wanted to learn, and I wanted to increase that ability, like you said. But when I saw that clip of you just casually mentioning a specific Bangalore that you felt spoiled to be around and blessed, and I was like, "Is he talking about me?" And I reached out to you, and I was like, "Listen, I know we haven't talked in forever because of shit that's gone down, but if you're talking about me here, I want you to know that this is a big deal for me. And if it's not, then I totally understand." And then you messaged me a couple hours later, and you're like, "No, that was definitely about you." And I was
I
like,
was
"Oh
like,
my
hell yeah, I
God."
was talking about you.
I was, I was like, "Oh man, that is like probably the biggest compliment I have ever received ever." Aside from the name itself, I think that has been the best, most fulfilling, and most rewarding compliment that I had ever received. Because yes, being named the Bangalorian is special because the team collectively agreed and said, "Hey, that's you. This
Yeah.
is who you are. That's who you are." And I was like, "Yeah," but then to receive such a compliment like that, because that with those specific words, it meant so much more. It added on to the name, in my opinion. And I was like, man, like this is the way this guy feels, and he hasn't found anyone that can kind of I don't want to brag or anything, but like compare to what he had experienced.
I hadn't played with anyone
Yeah,
since that time,
yeah,
and it was just like I hadn't played with another Bangalore who could do what you did.
yeah, yeah, and that's what I'm trying to say. And I was like, if he's talking about me, then this is a whole new ball game, and I appreciate it even more so. But if he's not, then hey, whatever. But it turned out being the case, and I was like, oh my God, what a huge deal, you know.
Yeah,
And it was a big motivator to just keep going, to just keep pushing with what I could do with her and expand my horizons.
yeah.
Yeah.
So with Apex Legends, what did you when it went from being that solid team leader in Call of Duty and Battlefield. Um,
Hmm.
did you kind of feel like taking that leadership role again when you dropped into Apex Legends?
No, never, never. I could like big red stamp over the screen. Poof, never, ever. I couldn't do it because to begin with, I never felt that I ever was a team leader because it was stripped away from me so quickly. Like it was given to me and it was taken back just as quick,
Yeah.
you know. Um, and thusly, I couldn't really. I never felt that I could fill those shoes,
Mhm.
you know. And there was. I always considered myself the supporting role in this story, in this film, this show, or whatever you want to try to consider it, and to, sort of make sense. But
Mhm.
I always considered myself the secondary character. I was never a protagonist. I always believed that I was here to support the team, and that's just how it always was. Yeah, for maybe the beginnings of our time together as Team Retro with you or myself and Maddie, maybe I said, hey, let's do this, and you guys followed me. But I never considered it the position of a leadership role. Never,
Mhm.
never in my life, ever. And I think that's probably for the best. Because if I was a leader, I feel like it would be a far different experience than it is now and was then. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
And this game's really
So
good
I
about
don't think
not
so.
encouraging that, because the squads are so small,
Hmm.
and it's you're not running around with like a whole five, 8 squad, and it's not matchmaking. It's just a battle royale, and
Exactly.
and having such a small squad doesn't necessarily encourage a leader. It's just kind
Yes.
of everyone communicating about what's going on around them. And it does make it more of an intimate experience when it comes to the people you're playing with. And when you do have a good, solid squad that comes back and is consistent, you're able to create that camaraderie with these
Yes.
people and that
Hmm.
that connection, and you guys become that squad. It makes this game and this experience so much more meaningful. And I think, just thinking back on the whole time you had with Battlefield, and then going over to Overwatch, which was more intimate but still professional in a way. You still had to communicate and
Hmm.
strategize about stuff. I feel like that's all kind of come together because you do have your Call of Duty Battlefield mechanics, if you will, just a little bit
Yeah.
in this game. It's a
Exactly.
little more FPS than Overwatch, but you've also got your intimate squad and your friendship building experience that you had at Overwatch, and you're kind of bringing that here too.
Exactly. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. I totally agree with all that actually, because the game is very different and it does provide a very different outlet for what you're looking for in gameplay.
Mhm.
And in terms of what, like you said, there's a different sense of camaraderie. And then, and it's because the squads are so small, it becomes that much more intimate. And you have to consider the options of what you can and can't do for the people that you're with.
Mhm.
And that was always something that kind of kind of stood with me for so long, but it took me a very long time to say, "Oh my God, I'm. This was never about me. This
Mhm.
was never about being selfish and stat chasing or whatever. It was, yes, to prove a point to myself that I could be this person, but it was always about me being this person for a team, for a
Mhm.
sense of for people that were looking out for me to come in and drop in with them, but also be able to provide a service to my team, to be reliable to my team, to provide cover and intel or whatever for the team. Yes, you can be a selfish asshole and just chase the stats for all you want and get there, but when you get there, how empty is that feeling? When I got there myself, I ended up realizing how crazy I had become, how thirsty I was for the number of 1,000, and then I kind of realized I neglected something. I neglected the team. Yes, they were there for some of the adventure, that to get to that climb, yeah, sure, but it was very much empty when I actually got there. There was a moment of celebration, yes, that big post where I thank all of you guys for
Mhm.
everything that you've done up until that point for me to get to that part and
Yeah.
for the influence you guys had and the encouragement you guys gave me. But when it really came down to it, I mellowed out after that. I ended up being less strict, less about, hey, you got a job to do, focus up, let's go. It that mellowed out, and I was like, hey, maybe I don't have to be that guy. Maybe I could just be that guy, but more relaxed.
Yeah.
And that's what ended up kind of happening. I sort of mellowed out, and yeah, I was serious every now and then, but uh, it wasn't something you guys would choke on anymore. And I'd
Yeah.
like to think that it was okay,
Yes.
a good change.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. Wow, what a huge experience.
Yeah, that's definitely an experience, dude.
Yeah, it very
Not
much
very many
is.
people can include such a personal story with a character main.
Yeah, and that's honestly that's all it was. It was just being this strange connection with the character's voice lines, the personality, the familiarity of all that she did and all what she was about pinging the weapon and telling me what it was about, and and learning the limitations of what she could do in game, and how cost effective it was in certain situations.
Yeah.
And then I kind of realized that I had to I had to consider the team, and really rely on the team at times because yes, I am a Bangalore main, but I can't do it all by myself, and I kind of had to learn that, and I appreciate that moment when I actually did learn that lesson, and I ended up, you know, kind of being more involved with the team. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy, but that's how it ended up being. Um, it was a very nice blend of my time with Battlefield, Call of Duty, and Bruce and Tony, to having that sort of professionalism, but also keeping the intimacy of familiarity of friendship from my time with Overwatch. And I love the fact that this game sort of blended both together for me with just one character.
Yeah.
Yeah, nuts.
Yeah. So right here
Does
at the
anyone think?
tail end, right here at the tail end of season 5,
Yes.
where do you see yourself going? What's next for the Bangalorian?
Oh man, I'm glad you asked because I was actually thinking about it all day today. I was so nervous about this whole interview and I didn't know what to say or
Mm.
how it would come out or how it would be perceived or the perspective of it from other people. But there was a moment today where I kind of sat down at my desk and because I had some time and I started thinking about where I could go next. And so I guess this is one of the well, I wanted to make some announcements at the end of this interview, but I'll make one now. With season 6 coming around, new legend, new map, apparently. Um, I am going to relearn Bangalore. I'm going to buy a new notebook, a new pen, and I'm going to start all over. Um, it's been such an amazing journey to be here,
Yeah.
in this moment, to stand right here next to you, in front of you, and talk about all of this. Because there was just so much that came with this ride. It was an amazing journey just to be this far, and to suddenly kind of realize that I'm sticking around much longer than I ever thought I ever would.
Yeah.
I thought I achieved everything I could ever want to with this game, with this character. Only a few short months ago, I thought that was it. I thought that this was it. But I started thinking about it today, and I was like, man, I don't think I could ever leave. I don't think I could ever find another person that would put that much effort into this character, Bangalore, and I don't think anyone could ever become the Bangalorian 2 or 3 or 4. There really isn't anyone I could think of that would take that time, the same amount of time, and put it here. Bloody thumbs and blisters and painful headaches, learning trajectory lines, and
Up in the chimney.
learning what she could do is one thing.
having the love and support of friends that actually give a shit about what you do and what you do outside of the firing range, outside of Kings Canyon, outside of World's Edge. The ones that actually say, hey, are you gonna drop in tonight? Do you want someone to drop with? And hey, can you drop with me? I need someone reliable. I need a wingman. Having those people around is what made this journey that much better. I've walked on Stardust, Justin. I stole my power from the sun, and I didn't steal it alone. I had friends. I had people get me there. When the stairs fell out from underneath me, I had you guys to pick me up and boost me up to the next set and get me there. I rode the wind to get here, and from the wind I got on Stardust, and I kept walking. And on this treacherous crusade of not knowing where I would go and where I would be, and my sense of self in this game and this community.
Giving him the chimney.
I didn't know where I would go. I didn't know how long I'd last.
Pop and smoke.
I didn't know if I would actually be here right now,
Already on my mark.
playing this
Firing
game
for
if it
effect.
wasn't for you guys. You know. Yeah, sure. You know, Maddie kept me on the straight and narrow, and she kept me in check. You know, she made sure my ego didn't inflate once I got the name and I got my 1,000 kills. And Shy always looked out for me, you know, both mentally and in game. She's like, hey, are you okay today? Are you stressed out? Did you want to talk about it? You know, did you want to drop in? Alex was always there. Hey, you want your 1,000 kills? I'll make sure you get it, he said. He would drop with me. He could have taken all the kills because he was that good as Caustic. He was amazing. Probably the best Caustic I've ever seen ever. But you know, he really made it that much easier because he says like, hey, you want these kills or what? I'm like, that'd be great. And he's like, well, here, all their armors are shattered. Go get the kill. And I would go in, I would get that kill. You know. And then there's you, man. There's you. Been saying it for so long now, it feels like I've been saying it forever, but you're the rally point. You know, you brought me in, and you kept me here. No matter how difficult it was for me to come back into this game, come back from the world, to find a place to stay, a place to call home, but even if it was just a firing range. You brought me here, and you kept me going. That encouragement never fails.
I got one more for you.
You know, and I'm still here.
But we wouldn't
And
have
I'm gonna
picked
relearn.
we wouldn't have picked you up so hard if we didn't believe you were gonna stand back up.
Oh, I know. I know. I know.
You were already on one knee on your way back up. We were just helping you get there.
No, I know. I believe it. And that's why, for the record, I'm gonna learn Bangalore all over again. I'm gonna get that notebook. I'm gonna get some new pens, a new protractor because I broke it. But I have to learn everything all over again. I have to be better. I know I'm good now, and I feel good about what I can do, but I can be even better.
And maybe
And that's what's gonna happen.
maybe some medical bandage tape for them thumbs.
Ouch. I actually have the band-aids still. I still have some boxes left over. I need that. I'll actually take a picture and send it to you when this is all over. But yeah,
Phew.
it's still there, dude.
I believe it.
It's still readily available for my next venture. And it's right around the corner. I know it sounds crazy, but it's still there. It's still available.
Yeah.
You guys, I owe you guys, each and every one of you, a thanks that I don't think I can properly ever put into words or really bring into material possessions for you to have. But I want you guys to know, each and every one of you, you specifically, Justin, you brought me in, you kept me going, and you kept inviting me back. You know, we tested each other's abilities up until now.
And our
We
patience.
know what we're and our patience. Oh my God, ain't that the truth? You know, we've seen a variety of situations that
Link you
we can
to.
only
We can only
imagine.
we
You
can
know,
only link you to them because
yeah,
we
we can
have
only link
footage.
you to them and hope to Christ you believe us. And once you see it, we can only hope that you still believe that we did it,
Yeah.
because we've done so much, just you and I, man. You know, with me and Maddie, we've done some crazy shit in duos. It's incredible. Me and Shy have fought, crazy numbered individuals, 5-digit kills, five digit damage, and we still win it. And we never stopped. Me and Alex, we dropped in early mornings sometimes, and we kept pushing. We kept pushing and we kept pushing. And all that is what I'm grateful for. The fact that we all still are here together, pushing forward. So that's what's gonna go down. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna relearn Bangalore for a second time, and hopefully only become better from what we currently have. And it's gonna happen. Season 6 is the Bangalore season. I'm calling it right now. I'm gonna do everything I can to just be better at this character than I already am. Um, there's gonna be some surprises along the way. You know, it's Bangalore focused, but there's definitely way more to it than that. But I don't know. Feels good.
Yeah.
It feels great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's gonna be sick. Season
Yeah.
6 isn't ready for me.
No.
It's not
No.
ready for me. It's not ready for us. I'm gonna say it
I
like
can
that.
already call it.
Yeah, it's gonna be so sick. It's
Well,
gonna be
this
amazing.
has been a really great time.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
it's been really good for me, just me personally, to hear your story and hear where you came from, how far you've come, and just from what you told me at different points, it wasn't easy. It got bumpy there a couple seasons back,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's definitely been a journey for both of
Oh
us.
man.
But
There's so
this
much more,
one's
but like this is about as much as I can take at the moment.
oh yeah.
I'm not ready
No,
for
no,
more.
no.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
all you, dude, and you've
yeah,
got
man.
a roadmap laid out, and
Oh yeah, dude.
yeah,
It ain't over yet.
we're gonna coin that one. Season 6 is not ready for the Bangalorian.
No, no, not yet. No way.
No.
I'm gonna drop in hard, man. I got so many plans, and if I actually now, I guess now is no time, no better time than ever to make some announcements. So, for season 6, it's been off the record up until this point. I don't know when this is gonna get uploaded on either our sides, but for whenever this gets dropped for the big announcement, we are gonna pick up Lifeline, and we're gonna definitely put some work into that. I've been picking her up off the record, out of prying eyes, so to speak. Only so few people, actually, not even that many people. It's actually just you that knows
Yeah.
about this. It's just you and I that know about this, and well, now the rest of the world or whoever ends up watching this,
Yeah.
we're gonna be picking up Lifeline. We're gonna be doing something with that. We've been working on it steadily for about, let's say, almost a month now. Almost a month. So by the time season 6 drops in, we'll have some experience behind it,
Yeah.
and we're gonna definitely be picking people up and healing them up. So
Get you a
look
little bit
forward
of
to that.
a leg up before this next season drops.
Exactly. So we're picking up Lifeline, which is gonna be sick. Crypto is not going anywhere. I know I just said this is going to be a Bangalore focused season, but naturally I do have to pass the baton every now and then. It's going to be Bangalore focused, yes, but we're going to see some Lifeline, and we're never ever not going to see Crypto. Like he's always going to just be here.
Yeah.
He's become a bit of a mainstay. He's going to get his own video at some point, but up until that point, we are the Bangalorian, and we're going to be picking up some new people and changing things up a little bit.
All
Yeah,
right.
big times,
All
big
right.
times.
Well, you can definitely follow the Bangalorian and all of his awesome, incredible, epic, intense adventures on YouTube and since recently live on
Yes.
Twitch. And you got all these handles up in here that you can go look at on his Twitter
Right
and
on.
YouTube and Twitch. And this has been a great time, my friend. It has
Oh man,
really been a good
absolutely.
time.
Very freeing. Oh my lord. Very. It feels good to finally get it all out there. At least most of it. Like I said, there's more to tell, but I think this is everything that I could actually ask for in terms of like being able to communicate it to something
Yeah,
or to someone and to other people as well, whoever wants to stop by and see it.
yeah. And just turn
It's gonna
that
be amazing.
page.
Yes,
Yeah,
next chapter's coming, and it's gonna be amazing.
yeah. Well,
We'll see.
I greatly appreciate you asking me to do this interview. It was a
Oh man, it's a
wonderful
dream come
time just
true,
to
to be
listen
honest
to
with
all
you.
this
Yeah.
and just hear your entire story, just your entire multiplayer experience, all this. It's just been an absolute delight to hear all this, and I
Oh, right on.
am
Thank you.
really grateful that you asked me to do this.
Oh man, I'm grateful that you said yes because it's always been a weird little dream of mine to be like a gamer, but then get interviewed and have something to talk about. Like
Yeah,
even if it was just like just over a cup of coffee, even like just something simple. Um, with the way the world is and how far apart we actually are,
yeah,
that became a little bit more difficult. But the fact that we were able to just do it here in Apex and its firing range of the birthplace of a lot of good places. A lot of
yes,
good things I'd like to think for myself personally speaking. To do it here just felt right.
yeah.
And actually, to top it all off, let's go back to the lobby really quick.
Okay.
Um, for one, you know, big surprise, I suppose.
Ooh.
Um, we're gonna definitely have some fun. I think I'm gonna have fun with this.
All right.
Uh, so as I said, a couple times on the record and off record, mind you. One of the biggest problems I always had was moving on and getting to see the next step in my journey with Bangalore. And so here is this next step. I believe that I have to shut off the old and enter a sort of new perspective, a new mindset.
Okay.
And it is been a very hard thing to do recently, up until recently rather, because I just never knew where I was going to go with Bangalore. And so, thusly, it kind of became this thing that I've been neglecting, putting aside, kind of, just pushing away from my line of sight and, just not wanting to see it because I didn't know where I wanted to go.
Mhm.
So, I think it's about time I ascended one last time. I've gone from Bangalore to Bangalore 2.0 with the Spacewalker skin, and I changed the whole gameplay around. I became Bangalore 2.0, a Bangalore that really focused on the team by smoking the enemies, tracking armor, protected the team with the ultimate, the missiles,
Mhm.
calling out enemies, asking for this, asking for that. What do you guys need? Really prioritizing the team. But now, moving forward, I feel like yes, the team is very much important, but there's something I need to do for you guys that I haven't done yet, and I feel like moving forward with this, I need to do it in a new suit. So, I stole my power from the fucking sun, and I didn't get there alone. You know, it was a very long and difficult journey, and it took some time, and there was a lot of tears and a lot of raw thumbs that came with
Indeed.
it. So, let's transform one last time. I am a child of the sun. I am the apex legend known as the Bangalorian. You ain't seen shit yet. Oh yeah. Here I come, baby. Here I come. You're in my jungle now. Let's do this. Let's go. Apex Overdrive Bangalore Legendary Skin is what I will be wearing through the rest of Season 6 as Bangalore. I am fully transformed. bam. I am ready. I am gonna kick so much ass. I am gonna just flip it all on its head. I'm gonna relearn this character. I am gonna change everything that I've ever known about the character. I am going to I just have to start fresh. Start from 0. Get to 100. That's the end game. To make sure I am 100% brand new, fresh. 100%. Oh, it's gonna be so good. I am ready for this journey. And if I have to go through 10 realms to get there, oh man, I'll do it. I'll do it. And I know you guys are gonna come with me because I'm not gonna let you guys sit this one out. Not on your life. Not on your life.
Sounds good to
You
me.
guys are coming straight up with me. You guys are riding this wind with me. You're walking on stardust. You're coming to the sun with me, guys. That's just the way it's gonna be. Oh, I'm so ready right now, dude. I'm so psyched. Woo! This is it. Bangalore 3.0. Let's go. Let's go, dude. I'm ready.
I'm ready too. And
Oh man, I'm ready, dude.
and you guys heard it here. The Bangalorian 3.0 coming to Season 6 of Apex Legends.
Woo!
It's been a good time.
Ride the wind, guys. I swear to God, that's the tagline for this season. Ride the wind.
And,
Transform with me. Woo!
and follow and subscribe to catch it all live. Thanks for hanging out with
Oh,
us.
yeah.
See ya.
Definitely.